Man, you know what time it is. As you can see, we're all using computers and even laptops. But according to Joe Biden, you ain't black.
You ain't black.
And you ain't black.
What's going on, everybody? So I know that there's been a lot of things that have been going on, especially with the racist comment that Joe Biden made, that black people don't have the capability or the actual access to internet and computers and to get the vaccines. And I don't blame him, because I think I said this previously. He's still stuck in the Jim Crow days where we probably didn't have the access to it. So I don't blame him, because
that comment was so bad.
Right?
Literally.
Like, so bad. I mean, he basically said that minority communities, and we know who he meant, the people that need the recorders left on and the,
right,
the
and
TVs
and the Zonophone playing.
I mean, aren't we using laptops and computers right now?
Yeah, dude, that was really bad. And he said they basically don't know how to use the internet to get into line for the COVID vaccine. And we said this on Dan Ball's show. I said that's literally like me saying I need to send MAGA Hulk an Uber because I don't think he knows how to drive due to his skin color.
Right.
You know what?
I don't think he has an app.
But I would actually like to break that down. I would like to ask Biden and the people who believe that, right, and support that, literally, break it down. Do you mean that we can't go on Google and type www. Do you mean that we don't know how to search? We don't know how to use search? What part of using the internet do black people not know how to do?
This, I said this earlier, man. This is the same thing that happened in 2016.
Oh, I get
it. They had the voter ID situation. Minorities, they can't have the voter ID because they don't know how to access that. They don't know how to go get an ID card. We're so stupid to the left. When it comes to the left, we are so stupid.
We don't even know where the DMV is.
We don't know where the DMV is. We don't. And then they asked, after they interviewed a bunch of these white liberals in University of Berkeley, they went and interviewed a bunch of black people, and they're like, do you know where your local DMV is? Oh yeah, it's right down the street. Do you know where your local DMV is? Yeah, it's right over there. Like, do you think it's racist for someone to infer that you can't get an ID card that I'm offended by that. I mean, this is what it is, and here we go with Joe Biden doing the same exact thing as they did as the left.
Let's watch what he says, just so everybody actually gets a chance to see this, because this is literally it blew my mind. Like,
and the Hispanic and the African American
he's calling us retarded.
Know how to get online to determine how to get in line for that COVID vaccination.
Dude, go back to
in the community, and the Hispanic and the African American community know how to get online to determine how to get in line.
You know what? Okay, I got to say this. Y'all heard the saying, right? If you let somebody talk long enough, they'll eventually reveal how they really feel. So this was actually very more reflective on Jim Crow's state of mind, more so than what he said. Everybody knows that what he said doesn't make sense.
Not at all. We all know he has a mental deficiency right now. It's possibly dementia. We probably already know that. And he's still stuck in the old days where he truly believes, which, again, he might be correct. Those times, we probably didn't have access to the internet.
We didn't. Nobody did at that point.
This is the thing. See, he contradicted himself, because back in the day, if you remember, he said that poor kids are just as intelligent and bright as white kids.
So if we're just intelligent as bright, how come we don't know how to use the internet now?
That was good.
Come on.
That was good. You know what? I'm just over it, man. I think we all understand, and I mean, to the left they don't, but I hope. I mean, in essence, you elected somebody that is racist. We all know that. He's mentally deficient. He's literally saying these comments. If Trump said it, it'd be we would see the United States burn from a satellite. Yeah. And if you vote for him, you're an idiot.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're an absolute idiot.
Yeah.
So really, I mean, there's no real way to combat foolishness like that, right?
Well, my only frustration too is like, where is BLM on this? Where are the intersectional feminists who believe the intersection between their struggle and the African American struggle means we have to bind together? Like, where's the angry bloggers furious of the soft bigotry of his low expectations? I never saw President Trump at his worst.
Thank you.
Making fun of making fun of the handicapped New York Times guy. That was bad. And that wasn't even as blatant as like, black people don't know how to use laptops. Like, I mean, this is bad.
Yeah, this is terrible. But again, this is the left we're talking about. They are the known racists, even though they try to project onto us and say that we're the racists. They're the known racists. They're the people that constantly think of us as lower or less than. Or we need to be patted on our heads and patted on our butts to be able to show some type of love for these poor little innocent dumb black people.
Dude, you need to go undercover. You need to go undercover, MAGA.
As
and
what?
Here's my job.
As what? The other Hulk?
No,
the green Hulk or the purple Hulk?
No,
he's going to go undercover as the green Hulk?
We're going to
Big Mama's house.
No, we're going to get you to go undercover, all right? This is what we're going to do. I got the plan. You're going to say, I was wrong. Trump is racist. You're going to have a big coming out movement and say, I'm a lefty now, right?
Denounce him.
Denounce him, the whole 9 yards. Say that you're going to take him behind the shed and beat him up. They'll love you. You'll be a sensation on the left, all right? And then all you got to do is figure out, I want you to volunteer on their marketing team because Democrats are the best marketers on earth. They have convinced the black community that the party of the Ku Klux Klan, the party of Jim Crow, the party of eugenics, that only 40 years ago was literally advocating for positions that made African Americans second-class citizens, all right? Exact same, the party of the Ku Klux Klan has African American women voting for them, something to the tune of 98% in some of these districts.
Got it.
They have African American men voting at 92%.
Well, it's the twisted history in marriage between the slave and the slave owner. There is a relationship between the slave and the slave owner, and that's what represents right now between the Democrats and the black people. That's just what it is, the Democratic plantation. So until you are willing to recognize that your slave master, even though he's providing a home for you, he's providing food.
No, but
for you.
is he? Have you been south of Normandy, dog? You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
the project sucks.
Maxine Waters. You mean Maxine Waters district?
Let's go.
I've been over there.
I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing this comment, right? And I don't know, I'm getting a blank screen over here. But if I'm looking at this comment right now.
Whoops. Sorry.
There we go.
So I'm seeing this comment, right? And about how we can't use laptops. And I'm sitting back and I'm looking at, okay, well, one, of course, we would know if Trump did that, we'd see the cities burn, right? But he says it, and it's fine. Yeah, right. And then I turn on CNN, and it's like breaking news. Joe Biden, breaking news. Joe Biden had was with his niece and playing Mario Kart.
Right.
But meanwhile, I remember back in the days where it's like Trump is the racist that's inciting violence. And breaking news coming back to you. Biden wants to wipe his ass. And it's just like.
Did you see the piece about they did about him putting his own logs into the fireplace?
Oh my God.
They really said that. This is news.
Wow.
This is news.
Look how relatable he is. He puts his own logs in his fireplace. But yet
I'm so surprised.
But yet look how they chastise Donald Trump for after working 24 hours around the clock. He wants to take a break and play golf. They chastise him for that.
You see?
Now the million-dollar question, million-dollar question I feel is when will media, when will anyone, the Chris Wallaces, The View, when will they ask Joe Biden to denounce white supremacy? When will they ask him to denounce segregation?
Oh, that's a good one.
They just act like there's no connection. They won't even ask him to denounce it.
Oh, you know what? You would be so interesting is that's a gutsy reporter to say, you want to know what? Your party.
Thank you.
Your party is the party of the Ku Klux Klan. And there's African Americans that are concerned that you still maintain, as Lucas the Abstract says, a relationship of sovereignty over another group of people based upon skin color. Will you now denounce the Ku Klux Klan as the party that basically founded it? I mean, if we're honest with ourselves, there wasn't a dude in the KKK that wasn't a Democrat years ago.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Or how about ask him, does he still feel that Barack Obama is a storybook? Does he still feel that he's the only smart, articulate, good-smelling black person out there? Because I feel every other black Democrat.
Smelling too?
He said clean.
He said smelling?
Clean.
I heard.
If you're going to sit here and honestly say, is he the first, that he's the first clean man, clean black man, that means all the other black men you've met in your life were dirty.
No, actually, I heard
that's ridiculous.
I heard.
No, I wouldn't say dirty, just maybe lightly soiled.
Or less clean.
Less clean.
Unable to use fingers with phone.
Right.
Yeah,
so
not
walking
good at
around
that.
wondering where
so
the
how does
DVD
the other black Democrats feel about that?
I heard he smells like sulfur. That's what I heard.
From all the cigarette smoking, or
from all the playing with the nose. That's what I heard. That's word on the street. I don't know.
Word on the curb.
Yeah, he smells so good, but I'm hearing he smelling like sulfur over here. Hanging out with gay frogs.
Well, Biden the sniffer would know. Right?
Yes, he would. Yes,
all right, now we over here got gay snow in Texas and stuff. You know what I mean?
Wait, what?
I'm segueing to the power outage in Texas.
To the power outage section.
Which disclaimer? It's not gay, guys. It's not. Snow's not gay.
What exactly is going on with this? Like, do you feel that was some kind of ploy or?
No, we just had a 100-year freeze in Texas, a place that never gets frost. I mean, my biological father remembers when it snowed in Miami that one time in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, like every once in a while you get these freak weather events, and Texas's infrastructure is not the same.
It wasn't designed for it, yeah.
Yeah, like when you go to Utah, for example, I went to college in Utah, you're not allowed to have external piping that runs into the house outside of the home. Here in California, everybody has a spigot outside
normal.
of their house.
Yeah.
And that's because we don't experience like 6 months of frost that are going to burst your pipes and cause a flood in the neighborhood.
You got it.
So if we were to have some kind of 100-year frost, it would be devastating for our infrastructure.
Right.
So in the past 100 years, they haven't had a frost like that. So they've had 100 years of infrastructure that hasn't been prepared for it. So everything was freezing. It wasn't just, and this is where actually I get a little bit on people on the right. They tried to make it sound like, oh, you know, the only thing that would have saved us was more fossil fuels. Well, that's partially true that the fossil fuels were doing better.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was fossil fuel infrastructure that was freezing as well.
Oh, wow.
You know, it wasn't just the wind turbines. Now, the wind turbines, they froze the worst.
Yeah.
And they were producing zero. But some of these other plants, like the natural gas and the pipeline plants and the coal burning plants, some of them I was reading.
Well, that's where like
Dan
preemptive
Crenshaw,
measures
they were down to
would
like
come in.
30% and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's why I feel that preemptive measures would come in. I mean, isn't it the responsibility of the mayors and the governors of these places to make sure that if a Katrina happens, that you are prepared, that if something like this happens?
Well, no. Well, actually, no, because one of the mayors in Texas, let me pull this up really quickly, said something about, it's right here. I can't play it, but he said basically they're on their own. They were like
they're on their own.
They're on their own.
Who? The actual citizens?
The citizens. People? And then shortly after that, the Guardian's reporting U.S. mayor quits after telling residents it's sink or swim amidst deadly snowstorm. Wow. So but again, we're not supposed to rely on the government for anything. We need to be self-efficient. I remember back we were 90-something% rural and only small percent city. Now we're 90-something% city and only small percent rural. So it just shows you and illustrates that we need to be prepared. Yeah. But it's very odd. It's very odd that there's a power outage, a snow, all at the same time. And I'm looking at it at this, that, when it came to COVID, they said 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. It turned into a year. How long could they keep going with this? Could they say that this power outage is going to happen?
The power outage, that is not maybe coincidental, or it could be coincidental.
That's what I'm saying. But notice how they said 2 weeks for COVID, and it turned into a year.
Well, they can't make Mother Nature freeze.
The power outages, because it does say, because if you actually look at it, the actual company itself, Texas Electricity, I'm pulling it up right here. I'm trying to find it on the fly. But it comes out that the actual company was caught doing this because market rates went by hundreds of dollars, and they wanted to avoid the loss.
Wow.
So I ended up passing an emergency order allowing them to charge customers those spots to make up the money of the market prices. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, what if they were say, man, hey, this will just happen for 2 weeks? And they did the same thing with COVID. They do this in communist countries. They can do this in third world countries. A lot of communist regimes, they use the power grid and they train you to accept less. Yes. To accept less. Yes. So it could be a natural disaster. It could be something that's coincidental. It could be, like I said, something that's happening. It's just very odd when with 2020 being as crazy as it is, and now we're getting power outages. Let's see how long it lasts. Let's see how long they prolong this, because again, in communist countries, they do this.
And speaking of power outages and the power grid, you just reminded me of the executive order that Joe Biden signed, right?
Oh yeah, we can pull this up.
This is insane.
This
so
is nuts.
Actually, this was deception and fraud, right? Because the executive order that he signed was designed to battle climate control, part of the Paris climate plan. But hidden within there, literally hidden, was a clause that where he undid the executive order that President Trump did, where it literally forbade any foreign entities.
Look, this is what it says exactly.
For our power grid.
Yeah, China having access to our power grid. Cool.
Yeah, China has access to our electrical power grid.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there's no reason in the world why China should have access.
No, there should be a reason, because again, we all know he's
Biden.
Beijing Biden.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
And I don't get. See, usually when they lie to us, there's some kind of, there's some kind of cover to the lie. Like when they're really trying to get Democrats,
they don't care to cover anymore.
And don't need to.
Well, I mean, the fact that Black Lives Matter's main fundraising link is an actblue.com fundraising link.
Yeah.
We know that they're manipulating people's perception and their goodwill towards anti-racism measures in order to raise money for the Democrat Party is basically what it's become. And like, at least though there's a cover, what's the cover?
They don't have one.
Biden,
they asked Jen
for
Psaki.
doing something that blatantly
Let me tell you, they don't have one.
benefits an enemy of the United States.
They asked the pseudo White House press secretary, Psaki, the circle back queen. They literally asked her, isn't this a direct threat to our national security, and why would he do that? She literally had no answer, and she said she'll circle back.
Yep.
Well, of course she would say that. I mean, she circled back.
I mean, they had to
to
try and make a phone call with a Ukrainian bureaucrat into like this weird Russiagate scandal where they tried to convince the American public that Donald Trump had been like flipped in 1985 in order to become a Russian agent. And I mean, the gymnastics they went through to try and put that together were incredible. Never mind that literally getting millions per year, we have the paycheck stubs to Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
And he's still getting paycheck stubs to this day from massive Chinese conglomerates as a consultant who doesn't speak Chinese or know anything about the industry.
Oh, yeah.
But what do you guys think could be done, though? I mean, do you think attorney generals can stand up or the joint chiefs? Like, executive order or not, you should not be allowed to put our national security at risk just because you put it in an executive order.
You know what? A solution to that is, I would say that we've seen the courts, we've seen the judicial and legislative fail us time and time again. And you know what the solution is? It's us. It's us. That's the solution. It's when you just stop complying. Just stop complying.
We don't even have a free election anymore.
Exactly. But let's just continue with our unfree elections.
This is outright scary. We could be under attack right now.
We wouldn't know.
I mean, there is power grids out in Texas
Dear
where
Google
there's a lot of.
We are not making any kinds of statements that.
I mean, literally, he's in office. We know his ties with China, and obviously, there's a power outage in Texas where a lot of bases, military bases, are at. So, and then also,
this is another 51 in Texas.
No, that's a Nevada, bro.
Okay.
But I wanted.
I think you're thinking of the Alamo. Lucas.
Oh, right. That's what I was thinking.
But I also, the reason why I'm saying this is because I want to segue into that Biden actually defends the Chinese in their concentration camps on CNN and says that they're just cultural norms. He said he wasn't going to criticize their concentration camps.
Dude, that's literally like saying that the forced sterilization of people who have been imprisoned by the state is just a cultural norm.
Right.
And by the way, imprisoned for their religion is the same as saying that us interning Japanese citizens during World War II was just a cultural norm. Like, if you want to say that what's getting done to the Uyghurs and credible claims from people that have been,
in China.
They're Uyghur Muslims, and you're hearing barbaric reports of freaking organ harvesting, for heaven's sakes, okay? But credible reports that they're being taken against their will simply due to the fact that of their religion and ethnic origin. Like, you can't say slavery was a moral evil and then not look at what's getting done
this is a cultural norm.
Uyghurs.
It's just a cultural norm.
And say it's a
Blacks
cultural
slaves,
norm.
It's a cultural norm. And so I don't know if you can pull this up. Go ahead and try to pull it up when Biden actually says, defends the Chinese on CNN. And the way he says it, he says, I'm not going to criticize them. I'm not going to criticize them. So we had a president that called them out. Yeah. And a person that
won't even criticize them.
Yeah.
But remember how everybody in the media was saying that Trump is in bed with Putin?
Right.
Why? Where's the Trump? I mean, Biden is
in bed with
I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not going to try to do it. But you know,
yeah, that person. You know what I'm saying?
It's the name that shall not be named, Voldemort.
Yes.
But it just illustrates that they said that he's a Russian agent. Yeah. And then now we're literally looking at someone that has all the telltale signs.
Who's a China agent, and they're ignoring it.
The media is going to run defense for the Democrat Party for as long as they live.
Till the cows come home.
Till the daggone cows come home. This is what they do exceptionally, too. They will, again, they will, instead of putting up what the actual news is, which is China is in bed with the Chinese, that these executive orders have these little sly little remarks and little earmarks or little deals that they can do with China. Yeah. Instead of reporting on that, they're reporting on logs. That Joe Biden puts his own logs in. He's playing with this. Right. And, this is what they do. If they're not going to put out the real news, then we got to. It's up to us.
And that's why I really feel like, and I don't mean to just put a blanket over Democrats and categorize them as a monolith because we don't like it as well. But at the same time, that's why I do have this feeling that there's just an evil connotation with Democrats, because you all know how sly and slick the devil is, right? And that's what they do. They're the masters of tricknology.
Yes.
They will literally make you believe that the sky is green.
Come on now.
Not us.
Come on now.
Not us.
But not us.
Not our viewers. Not our viewers.
But people will argue you down about stuff like this. And that's just part of their plan, masters of tricknology. But it takes people like us to continue shedding the light.
He's literally on TV saying black people can't have access to the internet, and he's defending China with their concentration camps, slave factories. Apple literally have suicide nets, building all these parts, literally selling us out. We all know everything's made in China, not made in the U.S. anymore.
Exactly.
And he's walking around doing this, and no one calls him out.
No one says anything.
They're reporting on him putting fire logs.
Exactly. Whoa. And not even the press secretary has any type of answers. Whenever she's, again, like we said, circle back. There's no communication from the press secretary to the American people, which is her job is to do that. Yeah. Her job is to convey what's going on with the president. It's supposed to be, we're going to relay this to the people, but she's not doing that.
Worry. I'll circle back.
Well, let's talk about really fast.
I'll circle back.
To be the White House press secretary, how inept she is and how ill prepared she is, right?
Yes.
This makes me question, does this woman even know Joe Biden?
No,
because
she looks
literally
scared.
She can't even answer a question in the facet of what Joe Biden would do. So she can't even say, well, Joe Biden, I was just on the phone with him, or Joe Biden is going to do this, he's implementing that. She literally has no idea. She's just a talking piece, and not a good one, actually.
Not a good one at all. Not a good one. She's being asked so many questions that are softball. They're the biggest softball questions, and she still has a problem answering these questions. And the few actual questions she does get, it's always some circle back or some roundabout answer that has nothing to do with anything, and then she'll circle back afterwards. You know what I'm saying?
She'll circle back after that.
And you can tell that she tries to do a Kayleigh McEnany because she has her little notes, but
what are you flipping to, baby girl?
Empty pages? You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have no answers.
And then now the United Nations is now pushing forward with their own agenda, using this crisis, because again, the actual quote is, don't let any good crisis go to waste, right?
You got it.
And the United Nations are now reporting that the world must make dramatic changes in society, economics, daily life to combat climate change crisis.
Surprise.
Here we go.
And now all
Couldn't
of a
have saw that
sudden,
coming.
now all of a sudden, AOC comes out of the woodwork. It just says,
Green New Deal?
Yeah, Miss Green New Deal says, according to Texas, in relation to Texas, that's what happens when you don't pursue the Green New Deal. Oh my goodness.
They're happy.
She did not say that.
There you go.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
So
the
she's
Green
basically
New Deal.
saying that the
Barton
state of
Cows
Texas,
or
the
whatnot.
people in Texas deserve that.
Yeah,
Because
basically.
they didn't support the Green New Deal.
Basically.
Yep.
And monsters like this.
they needed more windmills.
Yeah,
that freezes over.
Yeah,
That freezes over when there's a snow. Yeah, exactly.
That sounds like something that they would say on The View.
And it's very
very
scary that Texas can go through that, because they're a main producer of these natural resources.
That's where a lot of the oil drilling goes.
Well, no, I don't think you mean to say that they're the main producer.
I said one.
One of them.
I said one.
Well, they're a significant producer. It's not like they produce over 51% of our energy.
Well, let me tell you how significant it was. I was down there in Austin. I spent a few months down there working on film. And we were doing the whole cowboy thing, right, with the horses. And some of the ranches that we were on, the guy told me that he makes about $2 million a year just by leasing out his land to have
break that bread.
What do you call it? Technical term when you drill. What do you call it? Fracking.
Fracking.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just
Mining
to let
rights.
people fracking.
Mineral
he makes
rights.
$2 million a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's just like that's just like the chairman of this company that literally shut down. They don't even live in Texas.
Wow.
We came out, they don't even live in Texas. Of course, I mean, come on now. Like, they would shut down their own city that they actually live in? No, of course not. Of course not.
Exactly.
And, you know what's funny, too? Fauci tweeted,
Quack.
yeah, exactly. Because remember, 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Trump wanted it open by Easter.
Yeah.
It's a new year.
We're not going to talk about that, though.
Exactly. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, it's supposed to be going back to normal because Biden's going to save us all. And then just in, Dr. Fauci now says he doesn't expect normality until around Christmas. In January, he said it would be by
another dark winter.
Yes, exactly. He kept saying dark winter. This is kind of odd that it does look kind of like a dark winter. But
exactly.
the goalpost keeps moving forward.
Of
you
course
keep
it's gonna-
complying.
People were saying that it's gonna get worse. Like there's been memes about 2021 that being effed up, and then 2020 being effed up, and then 2021 saying hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you ain't seen that. We're just warming up right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how it's been.
It has to be with Biden in the White House.
Yes.
And you know why Fauci's not pushing it to Christmas is because he wants to put in the idea that, you know what, this year we're going to continue this. But he wants to push it to Christmas to winter. Why? Because now he can make another excuse that, it's another flu season again.
Another
because
flu season.
Yeah, exactly. Another strain,
More
another
vaccines.
wave.
Well, this guy, he's been propped up on this pedestal for so long now, and now he's in the Biden administration. He's as happy as a pig in slop. You know, pig eating slop. He's just so happy because he's being elevated in these positions, and people listen to him.
They listen
like
to
he's
him.
a god. They treat this man like he's a freaking god, like he's Xerxes, waiting for his next mandate.
And I think that's something fundamentally wrong. Maybe it should be treated more like how you have on the Supreme Court, you have several justices. Maybe you should have several medical experts that are part of the administration to combat this. Because why are we taking the word of one man,
the exalted Dr.
who
Fauci,
happens to be over 80 years old?
The same man that was involved. The same one.
By the way,
one that was
he's the
involved
same one
in the AIDS.
Exactly.
But let us not forget, this is the same guy that said don't wear a mask for 2 months.
Thank you.
Yep.
Like,
now he says word two.
Mean, just on internal logic.
Triple masking.
On internal logic. On internal logic alone. Like, I don't even need to go down any rabbit holes of pictures that he was taken with globalist elites in 1996 at a party in the Hamptons and convinced that he's part of some kind of international cabal. Like, just on the credibility or the vulnerability of having one person in charge of something. We don't put one person in charge of our government.
Literally.
We have a bicameral, a 2-part Congress that has like 235 in the House of Representatives, and then there's also 2 senators of all 50 states. There's 400 some odd. You know what I'm saying? No, it's actually 527. I think is why it's called 527 to win. That's the number of electoral votes, which equals the same amount of. But
the point is, it's more than
that's
one.
One of 3. The second branch of government, the legislative has hundreds.
The judicial
has. Sometimes it was as much as 11. Sometimes it's been as little as 5. The Supreme Court right now is 9. You know what I'm saying? And then we have one president. The only thing we've had is one president. But the interesting part is it's only recent that we really only had one president. It used to be that the person that won the second highest amount of votes actually became vice president. And you couldn't choose who the vice president was. So even the presidency...
That would make more sense, actually.
Even the presidency itself was a little bit of a 2-person system back in the day before they got rid of that.
That makes sense, actually.
So, it's like, get frickin' Fauci out of there, whether it's out of term limit arguments, or, by the way, I think he's a white supremacist who only issues medical orders that drastically impact minority communities, because all the rich white people don't have a problem sending all their kids to distance learning because they've got 5 iPads.
Well, have you heard
but according to Joe Biden, black people don't know how to use the iPad or the laptop. So, really, Fauci is just a big, fat, white supremacist supremacist.
No, that's very true. Have you guys seen the video where he was actually coaching black people to use the vaccine by saying it's safe for black people to take because it was founded by an African American woman?
I remember that.
And
Yes,
he's saying,
yes.
literally, it's true. It was founded by an African American woman, so that's why you guys should take it. And it's like, that's the same rhetoric that's been going on with these people. They get people that have some melanin in their skin and put them in positions of authority or power to enact the same detrimental policies that hurt us.
Don't you want to be like that
because a black
black
person
man?
is behind it doesn't mean I'm going to get experimented on.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean I feel
But that's
safer
what it
getting
is.
experimented on.
That's what they're saying. They're saying, don't you see that black man over there? He did it.
So it's safe.
Don't you want to do it, black man? I mean, it's so demeaning how stupid they really think we are.
Yeah.
Whenever it comes to any type of situation like this, especially when it comes to these vaccines that we don't want to take, that we want to be a part of.
The first mRNA vaccine, by the way, first one
Speak
in market.
on it.
Yeah,
But what do you guys
let's
think about
let's get
this
tested
narrative,
on. Let's
right?
get tested on.
What do you guys-
Let people of color get tested on, like we did, like during
Like
the
guinea pigs.
what do you call it,
Tuskegee.
the syphilis thing. Yeah, and that's the same Fauci that ran the whole AIDS operation.
Yeah.
You get tested, you get test positive, you get put on all these deadly treatments, and then a lot of people died from it. Just like you're starting to see in the newspaper, you're starting to see in news articles.
Let me
people
ask you
are
about this, right? What do you guys think about this narrative? My sister and I was just dissecting this, right? When it comes to how black people sort of blindly follow other black politicians and black people in positions of power, when normally, right, even in amongst ourselves in the community, we have a certain distrust with black people ourselves, right? So, but why is it that you put a black face as a mayor or as a governor or as a president, and now black people are just, oh my God, like they have to help us now, like they're gonna help us, and we just put all our eggs in that one basket? Is that a psychological conditioning, like where we just want black people to help us, even though that
we typically do
over and over and over?
But we don't learn from our own mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like they say, not all skin folk is kinfolk. You know what I'm saying? So we got to understand that just because they're the same complexion as us doesn't mean they're going to necessarily help us. I mean, look at Barack Obama. You know what I'm saying? 8 years that people voted for this man and looked at his policies and voted for his policies, and they did nothing to help the black community. So, but yet and still, he's hailed as this wonderful man and needs to be put on this pedestal as well, you know, and we fall for it every time. And then even though nothing happened, even though nothing beneficial happened for the black community, we still vote for these same Democrat operatives that do nothing for us, but it doesn't matter because it's the narrative that we gotta vote for black.
And due to this hypocrisy, all of us of all colors are getting our rights taken.
Yep.
Yeah.
All of us are in the same boat when it comes to lockdowns. We're all in the same boat when it comes to wearing these masks. And just right now, again, because you have to. This is one thing I give credit because Trump did what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
Democrats and politicians, even on the right, they always lie about what they're going to do, and then they end up, doing the opposite. But I always, and I said this before a long time on one of our first shows, I always listen to a politician when it comes to gun legislation. I listen to them very carefully because I know they're telling the truth when they say it. And now that Beto O'Rourke is a part of his cabinet, they're now pushing for outright bans on assault rifles.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, we're gonna take your AR-15, your AK-47.
It's already introduced. They have the House, the Senate, and the presidency.
Yeah, here we go.
And they're going to pass bans on more than 10 rounds. So for people that are watching this, if you don't know, assault rifles have 30. So they're going to ban the clips of 30 rounds. They're going to ban assault rifles like my AR-15, right? And not only is it going to be a registry, but they're actually trying to uplift the actual liability of the gun companies that if I kill you with a Smith & Wesson, they can sue Smith & Wesson. Just like how you
take the protection away from
which
the
will
gun
destroy
maker.
the industry, which will destroy the
That is
industry.
insane.
Because
And
not
they
only
don't
do they
do
have
that
the
for,
ban-
like,
If somebody is
knives or
stabbed with a
baseball.
knife,
you.
you can
Right.
sue the Cutler company.
Right.
Well,
right.
or if you
It
get
would
ran
be-
over by a Jeep, let's sue the Jeep.
This is ridiculous.
If you get hit by a Louisville Slugger baseball bat, then you
can
could
sue.
sue Louisville Slugger.
And the reason why they have these liabilities is because it's asinine to actually do this. So, but why are they doing it? Why? Because they want to destroy the Second Amendment industry.
Think about that, because I was really thinking about that. We know that it's not to prevent mass shootings by assault rifles because that doesn't happen very
It
often.
happens literally 1 to 5% of the time.
So
handguns.
what could be the real reason? So you can't protect yourself.
Absolutely.
They don't want you to have access to more than 10 rounds.
Yeah, because we've seen this in Australia, we've seen this in Europe. What happens is that they understand that nearly 1% or 5%, I forget what it was, is committed by assault rifles. But nearly 95% or something like that, or 98, I forget what it was, is committed by handguns. So they understand that first what they want to do is they want to get rid of the rifle. They try to say it's just for hunting. No, it's not for hunting. No. It's not for hunting. Exactly. It's for your own protection when it comes to anything unlawful.
So they disarm the people first.
That's it.
But see, they go to the assault rifle first, because if they get the assault rifle, then they can say, well, we tried to take this and there's more mass shootings or there's more gun violence. And since we took the rifle, which is literally 1% of the time, which they know, well, then we might as well get the handguns now, which is the 95%. And they already got both of them. They already got both
literally
of them.
Because why would they go after the under 1% first when the, like how you said, handguns are doing most
That's why there's an attack on the assault rifle first.
Do you think they want to stop the killings in Chicago? Do you think they want to stop the killings in like Memphis and the killings in Detroit? I don't think they want
that. Doesn't fit the narrative that they're trying to spew.
Exactly.
All right? These are the narratives. The right narrative is that guns are the problem. That's the right narrative to spin. Yeah. But if it has nothing to do with that, no. Don't look at the violence in Chicago. The fact that there's so much gun legislation in Chicago, but yet and still they're still killing each other at record rates. No. Never mind, dog. No.
See, because I'm born and raised in Chicago.
Come on, you
and all my years being out there, out of everybody that I read about getting shot and knew about getting shot, I never seen or heard somebody getting shot with an assault rifle.
Never.
Nobody's riding down the car in Chicago with an assault rifle.
Yes, indeed.
But if you come to my house, you're gonna get that assault rifle. You're gonna get that. You're gonna get a couple. There ain't no name on bullets. There ain't no names.
You know what? Let's call it. These guns are not assault rifles. Assault rifles, you would not take an AR-15 into war with you. You would not do that.
Thank you.
Single shot the entire time. No, that's not. Assault rifles are machine guns. Those are the weapons of war. Exactly.
And they're not sold.
Well, and also what nobody ever talks about, I have a friend who said if there's any more proof that bigoted boomers run our society, it's the fact that they're the most vulnerable demographic. So they shut down everything, and the left is always trying to say, oh, if you don't wear a mask while jogging on the beach on a paddleboard, it's because you want to kill my grandma. But never mind. Look at this article. This article breaks my heart, dude. This is from Chicago Eyewitness 7. Chicago Eyewitness 7
Cook
points
County
out,
is my county. Literally.
Oh, no kidding.
That's your county. That's why I brought it up. Is COVID-19 is getting partially blamed by the police for what they consider might be a 50% rise in opioid overdoses and gun violence.
You think so?
And 78% of these victims, according to this, were black. You know what I'm saying? And these are in places that you probably recognize. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office. Minifield was one of 878 people who died from gun violence last year, 78% of them being black. I mean, this is brutal. Everybody being, they only count the deaths that they weren't hiding like Como was, or that they were inflating in other areas to get money. And I'm sorry, yes, there was plenty of people that lied about data on COVID, okay? But they always say that if you don't wear a mask, you're killing people. But I'm sorry. I think once the dust has settled, we will be viewed as just as stupid as the people that try different dances and shaman rituals to get rid of the Black Death. People will look at us having done lockdowns and invested in masks and the stupid news reports they see about masks. They will look back at us with the same level of mockery as we do the people that thought bloodletting was going to, and leeches were going to cure Alzheimer's.
Well, you know what? You just made me think about something, because I feel maybe, now this is just maybe, perhaps y'all, a way to combat this in Chicago, because we can't rely on Mayor Lightfoot, right? We can't rely on Attorney Kim Foxx and a governor of Illinois. So why are we steady putting our needs in their hands instead of putting the needs in the hands of the community? Wouldn't it, is it possible that the community can just get tired of burying their children and their parents and their siblings and don't stand for it no more? When a murder happens in Chicago, work with the police. Yes, it was that car. He lives over there.
It won't happen.
And then we can community, and like how the Black Panthers used to do in the community, we would stand up, we would have guards, on corners and we would police our own communities.
Yeah, you'd be a pretty menacing guard in that Zara.
Well, I wouldn't come with this now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they think you were in a guard. They think you were like a mafioso. Dog.
Maybe that's the best undercover right there, right?
But look, it's not gonna happen because we have our leaders, our black leaders.
But what are they doing?
Our black leaders, like Royce the 5'9" and Talib Kweli, that keep going on about non-snitching campaigns.
Exactly.
It won't happen. That's the sad part.
And that's the sick part of the culture. Like how I believe it was
but don't be an Uncle Tom, right?
Yeah.
Who was actually saying this? The token black guy on Instagram was actually saying something about you shouldn't. It's just a cultural thing, right? Black people in the community, we shouldn't make fun of black children who speak proper. We shouldn't make fun of black children who love science and love math and on the chess team and on the math team, right? We should encourage this. Yeah. So it's a community thing, like how it's considered to be a rat or you a sellout if you snitching. Right. No, I'm not snitching. What if we change the narrative? I'm helping my community stop senseless murders.
How about that?
You know what I'm saying?
That's
about that narrative.
That's not cool though.
But that's
you know
not
what I'm saying?
cool,
That's not cool. That's not what they say in these rap songs. Because in these rap songs, snitches get stitches, all this type of stuff. But what really needs to happen if we're really going to change ourselves is things of that nature.
Look at other communities. Do you think for 1 second, if you go to Chinatown, or 1 second if you go to the Persian community or the Armenian community, that they would stand for their children getting shot up by some stupid nut that's just running, and you don't even got accurate bullets? That's why gangs, like, they don't get no respect from me because you're not even hitting your target right. You literally ran the block and got collateral damage.
Dude, I had a friend.
You shouldn't even be using a firearm.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. you know what I'm saying?
Dude, I had a friend in high school that got busted for like being in a car with somebody who had bottles, and then technically since the key was in the ignition, it counted as like a DUI, like the whole thing. Yeah, and dude, and since he was a minor, right? He was thinking he was going to call his parents and get bailed out. They showed up, found out what happened, and said, "You're staying here overnight so you learn your lesson."
There we go. There we go. And we need some more of that. We need some more hard parenting. You know what I'm saying? Hard parenting. It used to be back in the day.
I don't even know if I would have done that. I felt bad for the guy. His dad walked in and he was like, "No, you're staying here."
That's a lesson. The company you keep.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, "I don't care if it wasn't you. What were you doing with somebody who's doing that? Exactly. And why didn't you stop him?"
Well, there used to be, back in the 70s, or even maybe some of the 80s, there used to be a community that used to take care of kids. Or even the 60s, it was a community of people that took care of a kid. Mm-hmm. So you messed up outside messing around, the person from the community would get you, they would discipline you, then they would take you to your parents and say, "Hey, your kid, little Johnny, was cutting up."
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And then the parents would discipline. It was a community of people that was taking care of kids, that was disciplining kids, that was looking out for one another in the community, like you were saying, that we need to get back to. We need to get back to a situation where we're all looking out for one another, where we all have each other's backs. We're all making sure that there's no type of crime and any type of trapping on the block, anything like that, trying to be a hood star. Yeah. We need to be able to shut that down as a community and say, "Hey, no more." Yeah. We're perpetuating this bad image when it comes to blacks. I mean, people all across the world look at black people as thugs and degenerates and gangster rap and all that type of. That's what they see when they look at the black community.
And you know what? We talk about this, about improving the black communities, and because it needs to be done, but no one has the answers. And I think, again,
Nick Cannon does.
Nick Cannon.
But the reason why we bring up poverty instead of racism, the reason why we bring up it's a culture thing instead of and how to improve ourselves is because not only just for Black America but for every American in general. I say it again, we're all in the same boat. Yes, sir. Yeah. Biden himself wants to take away assault rifles from all citizens, regardless if you're black or white. Right. Everybody has to wear a mask, regardless of if you're black or white. Well, you don't have to, but you get my point. So moving forward, I think Black America has the lowest seat at the table because of our past. and black people need to wake up right now.
Yeah.
Because I know Americans need to wake up right now.
Yeah.
And if we need to sit at the table, if we need to move up, if we need to prosper, we need to wake up right now because everybody needs to wake up right now.
Right now. And I know everybody wakes up to a different alarm, but damn it, you need to set that alarm and wake up because it's going to be too late.
I worked the grave shift last night. I couldn't wake up. I came here tired as heck. I was mobbing.
Wait, that's two of you guys. Dude, Hulk, you work graveyard too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 12 to 12. 12 to 12. Man.
Dude, that's brutal.
It's nasty. It's nasty. It's nothing fun. So I understand this brother and what he's going through right now. Lack of sleep.
If you guys have ever worked a grave shift for a long period of time and then put yourself back in the day to do stuff like this,
I did that.
You understand the struggle. You
let
understand
me tell
the struggle.
you the struggles really fast of like a struggling actor when I first moved out here, right?
Let's go.
I was working at Bank of America during the daytime, and then I booked a theater play. I know Bank of America, right? Then I booked a theater show that was in the evening time.
Snitching on Trump
So
supporters.
I had to do graveyard shift. I was literally going to rehearsals from like 5 p.m. to about 10 p.m. Then I would go to Bank of America and work midnight until 7 a.m. Come home, go to sleep, wake up, and do it all over again.
You understand the grind?
You kind of got used to it.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Your body
but we got on the sidetrack. Let's just come right back to this. Biden, you're not taking my AR-15. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
It's
not going to happen.
Are you admitting to the possession of said firearm?
No. What AR-15?
Hey, and Biden,
it's not going to happen. Yeah. You don't get it. It's not going to happen.
No, but will it? Actually, I got to challenge that, and we can end on this. You know, conservatives talk a tough fight about, wanting to defend their rights, but dude, they just rolled over when freedom of religion was taken away. They just rolled over when freedom of speech is taken away. I mean, nobody's ever launched a credible counteroffensive to what Twitter's doing. And for a bunch of supposedly a party of Republicans and supposedly a conservative movement on whatever the right is in America that believes in capitalism and competition, nobody's made a new competing platform to Twitter. Nobody's made a new competing platform to Facebook. Nobody's made a new, I don't really,
Trump's saying he's working on it.
If they outlaw guns kick,
Parler's back on, and Trump is trying to make another one.
Yeah, but the infighting with the Parler people. And Trump's, supposedly Jordan Peterson was going to make his own Twitter with Dave Rubin. And there's all this big talk and big saber rattling about, when they finally take freedom of religion away, that's when we're going to stand up. BS, they took it away and you literally got BF'd by your government. And then they're going to say, well, when freedom of association is taken away, that's the last stand. They just took it away and you've been social distancing mandatorily, even if you have T-cell immunity, even if you've already had it, even if you got a doctor's note, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You're forced to social distance in a way that honestly, tyrants of the 20th and 19th century could only dream of. And I mean, being forced to wear masks, that's a dream for Mussolini.
Yeah.
Right.
And these businesses don't have doctors on hands. They can't actually practice medicine. But they can't practice medicine.
Here's my question. What makes you actually think when he does sign the executive order to get rid of the AR-15s, what makes you think that there's going to be some kind of rise up? Conservatives just take it. They just take it and they roll over.
Is that really going to be enforceable? No. What are they going to do? Knock on people's homes?
Dude, you can't get a concealed carry permit in LA County for 50 years.
Because this is how it works. Because it happened in Australia. It happened in Europe. It's the same way. When they put this forward, it's going to be a registry. It's going to be register and a buyback program. They're going to say, bring them in, we'll pay you.
Yeah, mandatory buybacks.
Because in the bill, it even says universal background check. So they're going to get the backgrounds because we already have backgrounds. We already have it. But when you do a third party sell, like from me to you, right, they inflict another one. Once when they have that, it forms a registry. Once when they have the registry, they say, everybody buy them back because now we're banning this one. After they're done buying them back, and the people that don't do it under the registry, that's when they come and say, it's banned. You have to give them. That's how it works.
So they literally will come knocking on your door and say, give me your firearm because we see that you're registered, but you didn't do the buyback.
It happened in Australia. It happened in parts of Europe.
Yeah, the mandatory buybacks is something to be really afraid of because once it gets to that point.
And I get what's
What
Cardon
you
saying.
say? I
lost it.
I misplaced it. I can't remember where I hit
it. In my hand right here. You understand? You want this?
You literally ran my mind.
And so exactly. And so what Cardon's saying is really important because he says, you know what? We don't have a backbone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no backbone when it comes to Americans. Americans been very soft. And I know we had a lot of different feelings about certain events that happened, transpired in January. And like you said, with religious freedom, nothing.
Well,
with
because America
COVID,
is trying
nothing.
to appease everybody.
And you know, like, we all know that every single business does not have a medical professional, a doctor on board to say, like at a Walgreens or something like that, to say that you have to wear a mask. But yeah, we still do it because we're complacent. But you know what? I think if he did try and get it past the House and Senate, I think that's the point where it's a breaking point. I think truly it's a breaking point.
And
because
why is he making it an executive order? Why isn't he passing it through the checks and balances and allowing the people to vote on it?
No, the bill is actually introduced. It was
it was.
It was.
Okay.
It's introduced.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I think there's a lot of liberals. Honestly, majority of the black population is liberal, and they love their guns.
Like 90% or something.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they love
actually,
guns.
I argue. The more I talk, I think
80%,
culturally
90%.
it's a very conservative culture.
That's what I
it
think.
is.
But they've
Yes.
been fooled into thinking that the Republicans are more racist than Democrats, so they vote Democrat. But I think of all the communities in America, the black community is actually mostly conservative. I mean, like Stacey Dash said it really well. She says lessons you learn in the hood are like conservative lessons.
Yeah,
They're not.
most black communities that I've always known, and the black community I came from, you were always implemented in some form of church, whether it was no matter what religion it was, some form of church was heavily implemented, and God was always prevalent.
But by church, you mean white Christian nationalism.
Well, it depends on what church. It depends on which church. Now, right?
If you've been to a black church, it ain't.
The
gospel's different.
Yeah.
The gospel's different.
The gospel is different,
Yeah,
but God was always prevalent. You know, morals and values always.
The Lord of Spirit is flaming in a black church, boy. You can feel the Holy Ghost come down your street. We got people fainting. They gotta have fans in there because it's so damn hot.
Wait, you mean you're Easter worshiping? Is what you were saying?
It's like a
You're
double-edged
Easter
sword
worshiping.
too, because I also feel that the black church is a huge crutch to the black community as well.
Yeah, that's good. So I mean, we've said how much that we know that the black community is conservative. We know that, we've talked about it, but I think moving forward we have to have that conversation because it's going to come to a critical point. Because we're seeing recent events like it happened in 2020 with the virus. Now with these blackouts. Who knows how long they're going to last because we're just going to sit here and take it. And with a bill that's coming in. And literally Biden's rhetoric when it comes to China, being an apologist for concentration camps. Remember the laptop? Remember the laptop last year? Remember the laptop? What is the breaking point?
The breaking point
when do we just say no?
Will finally be when China takes over.
Yeah, but then it's too late, and there's no stopping.
Exactly. I mean, like, what are you going to do? What country would you move to? Cardon?
Exactly, and that's the point. This is.
Oh, dude, I can go to straight up Argentina. I speak Spanish, bro. I got like half the world I can move to. You know what I'm saying?
See, this is the thing. What I hear when I always
by
hear.
the way, those cultures are wildly racist.
Well, Argentina.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the other thing.
The real racism?
Yeah, you want to talk real racism?
I know Spain is racist.
I saw one black person my entire 2 years while I was living in rural Argentina, and only two in the entire capital. One was an American basketball player coming to visit his Argentine wife's family, and another was a French guy who was a tourist on vacation.
Well, now lack of black people don't mean they're racist. So how was the black people treated, or what was the
bro?
climate
They don't have them. Like all of the people that the street names are named off of in South America are these great generals who basically exterminated the Indians. And then they tried slavery for a little while. It didn't really pick up. And then they got tired and they said, oh, remember what we did to the Indians? Yeah, we're going to do that to you if you don't leave in 30 days. And there were these heinous massacres. Like massacres. We're not talking a civil war where half of us said no to slavery and half of us said yes. We're talking just massacres where like 99% of the community was like, oh yeah, just get rid of them, kill them. Yeah. You know, and like you go down there and it's like, no, like I can get off the plane and they think I'm a German. Like I can go to any, like, you know, they might think I'm a Polish immigrant or something like that, you know, because I speak well enough that they're like, oh yeah, he's one of us. Come on in. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Dude, MAGA Hulk gets off the plane. They're like, what are you doing here, dog?
Right.
What are you
know
doing
what I'm
here?
saying?
Exactly.
Like, what did, I'm sorry, were you meaning to fly over Antarctica and end back in, Africa? Like, what are you doing here, dude?
Right.
And so it's like, if America falls, you know, the sad thing is the bilingual Polish dude isn't the one getting screwed. You know what I'm saying? There's an escape for kick in Puerto Rico. You know what I'm saying?
And so I wanted to finish, and I want to finish the thought is that, the whole idea about, something happens, like people are talking about, I'll go to Texas, I'll go to Florida. Or something happens, I'm gonna get out of the United States. That is a loser mentality. That is a loser mentality. People always, we're here in California. We always hear about how everybody's leaving California. I gotta leave California. No, that's a loser mentality. Yeah. We have so much at stake. Yeah, and I'm just finishing my point is that when it comes to China, and with Biden, and we're seeing the blackouts, and we're seeing the craziness that happened last year. The idea of moving from California out to Texas or Florida, or like what we were saying, like people have that mentality. That is the losing mentality. And that's the reason why.
Okay, but let me push back on that.
Is happening. Wait.
You're a single guy. You're a single guy. I'm excluding the harem. He's got like 5 girlfriends. But no, I'm just kidding. You're a single guy. But like, what's a person like me supposed to do when they say, okay, that vaccine is mandatory? And half the time they're stupid enough they don't even give medical exemptions or any kind of like conscientious objector or any kind of religious exemptions. I know a lot of people that are just saying, you know what, dude, like I had cancer. I'm a leukemia patient myself. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't know how comfortable I feel with an untested for 10 years vaccine. You know what I'm saying? When I'm seeing all these reports in these leukemia Facebook groups that I participate in saying, you know what, dude, that vaccine did me dirty. I had COVID. It was worse than COVID. Like, you're better off not getting it. I'm trying to talk to my doctor. But they limit how many medical exemptions doctors can give. Like, a doctor can only give like 4 medical exemptions per year or whatever the rule is. So I've literally seen reports of people saying, I fear for my life in my vulnerable condition as a leukemia or a cancer patient. And I went to my doctor and they can't write me an exemption. And does anybody else know a doctor that has exemptions left? Like, I know people that are moving out of California for fear of their family's health and safety.
Well, why would you need an exemption? Like, no one can force me to take a vaccine. I don't care what.
Well, okay, you're right. They can't. But to get a driver's license, you can't renew your driver's license. What if they pass that law? They're talking about it.
That's unconstitutional.
Oh, that's funny. Well, so is restricting freedom of religion.
Yeah,
everything they did this year was unconstitutional. Like,
true.
Whether we like to admit it or not, they are just one step away from saying you can't get a driver's license. Right. Oh, Ticketmaster. By the way, we don't even need the government to do it, because Ticketmaster is saying you can't go to our ticketed events if you don't have the little pass from us.
What if like all the airlines say you can't board a flight until?
What if Amazon says we don't want to deliver goods to you?
What if schools say like? What if schools make it a mandatory shot? Like, you have to have your chickenpox shot.
What do you mean? What if?
Yeah. What if they already make it mandatory?
I had to get, because my daughter had taken 6 rounds of chemo that had wiped out all of her immunizations. You know what I'm saying? She had 2 brutal brain surgeries, and we were fighting to save her life throughout all of 2017. And it was actually kind of problematic and difficult to get her re-enrolled in school, because we had to go through vaccine by vaccine and explain why she has, they'd been wiped out by the chemotherapy. It actually destroyed the vaccine in her bloodstream. So we're getting her caught up slowly, but we can't just load her up with 15 vaccines when she barely survived death 6 months ago. So as we catch her up on her current vaccinations for like MMR, polio, measles, mumps, and rubella is MMR. But, as we're catching up on those vaccines, should she not be allowed to go to school for the next 3 years? Like, these are the kind of questions people are asking, and these leftists are demanding it.
And this is what I meant when I kept saying in the last year or two that it's going to be an insidious takeover. It's not going to just be brutal and bold confrontation. It's going to be, they're going to they're making people willingly give their rights away.
Yeah. And I get what you're saying, Cardon, is that like, what do people do when they have family, they have kids?
Well, yeah, you say it's a loser position, but it's like, dude, I know people that are moving to Tennessee right now because they're escaping some of these health codes that they cannot comply with. And what are they supposed to do? Not send their kids to school?
No, I can.
And what do you do, for example, if your business just got outlawed? Like, if you're a service industry and you're not considered an essential worker anymore. Like, 65% of the restaurants right now on Yelp are closed permanently.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? In some municipalities, it's hit as high as 85%. Like, what are all these restaurateurs going to do? They can't afford to live in Southern California with no job that they're going to be allowed to have for another year and a half. When Fauci says it's going to be a long, dark winter and we're not opening up again until December, if I were a business owner, immediately I would just be like, okay, I'm selling and I'm getting out. And I could start a restaurant over the border in Reno. I could start a restaurant over the border in Arizona, but I can't stop it. So I don't think it's a loser position. I think it's the only position
It's a survival position.
And then our country and our states and our counties go to crap.
But no, I think I can agree with
anyway.
what Cardon was saying, because there's a lot of opportunities to be had. And a lot of these moves out of California are not necessarily people just escaping the bad policies, but mostly
it's like 90% of them.
No, they're escaping. That's one of the
fourth
benefits.
Economy in the world.
That's one of the benefits of getting out of California is the foolishness as far as these policies. But a lot of it is the opportunities in other states, like the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire got out of California because it's getting, taxes are getting ridiculous.
Elon Musk left.
You see what I'm saying? Like some of these
Joe
people,
Rogan left.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Impulsive. Freaking Logan Paul is leaving.
Trying to keep, they want to keep more money in their pocket. And at the end of the day, I think that's a good position to have, is to make these moves to keep more money in your pocket. Now, don't get me wrong. That means that whoever's left in California is going to have to, fight hard.
I get the economics behind it, but my thing is that we have so much that we are losing at this current point in time, and we have Joe Biden, literally a Chinese apologist. Right, you talk about the power grid, right? China, talking about what's going on with the blackouts. I think we're at a serious point where we have to. Men need to stop worrying about everything else and understand that if we don't do something now, that's my point.
Agreed.
Now, that we're not going to have a California, we're not going to have a Florida. Everybody has that mentality.
But maybe that's what has to happen. Because I don't see an alternative. They've incurred so much debt in California.
It's so liberal.
They're going to crash our economy.
Yeah.
Like, they won't be able to pay back that loan. So they're either going to have to get bailed out by the Fed. And you want to know what? Biden's corrupt enough. He'd probably give California bailouts. So who knows? Maybe that won't be a big issue. But who's paying for that bailout? Who paid for the bailouts of 2008? It wasn't the rich people on Wall Street.
$200 million to the World Health Organization by Biden. None of that came to. None of that stimulus check came to us, though.
So they're gonna raise.
And then
taxes.
California alone was responsible for like hundreds of millions of dollars in EDD fraud during the pandemic. People were literally flying into California from other states and countries, filing unemployment claims and getting them.
Because having
California
to
was
show proof
just
of residency
you get
is racist.
You get one.
Having to show proof of
pulling an
residency.
Oprah, pulling an Oprah out here.
Well, think about it. I mean, we have rules where in order to vote, you don't need a signature that matches. And now they're saying that you're racist or you're against the homeless or you're against immigrants if you actually require proof of residency.
Right.
So yeah, dude, friggin', I'd get the free $900 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Why not?
And people were quitting their jobs just to be able to get more money on their unemployment. I mean, that's how. There's so many problems.
Yeah.
There's so many problems that has been stemming from this pandemic, and it's still continuing on. But we have to stand up. We got to speak out. We got to do something about it. We can't just sit here.
It's been a lot of problems too, but at the same time, in a lot of hoods, it's been the COVID come up.
Yeah, that's
People
true.
made a lot of money off this COVID crisis. COVID come up.
So for everybody out there that is not black, right? Everybody that's not black, and I'm talking about black people that actually have a noggin.
Sense.
Exactly, them too, and everybody else that's not black. The moral of the story is that stop running and start fighting.
Yeah, you gotta fight.
We have to fight. And
Peacefully. He means peacefully.
Peacefully, right?
Yeah.
And if the men in this society understand that the fight is now, metaphorically, is to get into local office, go into local politics, be in those community organizers that do these things, that fight back, then we're not going to have a California, we're not going to have a Florida, we're not going to have a Texas, we're not going to have a New York, we're not going to have an America.
Yeah.
Period.
Truth.
So for everybody out there,
You ain't black. You ain't black.
You ain't black.
There we go.
Okay, cool. So that was actually almost exactly 1